This is what I wanted to look like, but here I was a couple years ago looking like this. Obviously nowhere near my goals, but I knew it was possible, and I think the same for all of you. Fast forward a couple years to now, and my body looks a lot better than I ever thought it could. Now, I don't know why you don't like the way your body looks. Whether you're skinny fat, maybe you're not eating the right foods, maybe you were just born this way. When I started out, I had the worst possible body type there is, known as skinny fat, and there was still hope for me. And with a little guidance, I believe you could be on the same exact path that I took. I now love the way my body looks, although there's a lot of room for improvement. Now, after reading guides, looking through supplements, and a ton of different niche diets, I found that all of those are just overcomplicating it. And anyone that tells you different is probably trying to sell you something or benefit off you in some way. So instead of paying for something, I'm just going to tell you all the things that I did that worked for me. And I'm going to narrow it all down to 5 simple steps. First, let's begin with my transformation. I hated the way my body looked. Like I said, I was very skinny or scrawny with no muscle, yet I still had a lot of fat on my body, which is something that a lot of you probably deal with that are watching this right now. When I decided it was time to make a change, I went through a lot of trial and error to figure out what actually worked to get a better looking body. And like I said, there's no diet guide, there's no niche diet like the keto diet or something like that you need to use. It's as simple as having a little bit of determination, and then just like you right now, I watched a video very similar to this. Now that being said, you're in a lucky spot because you get to skip all the BS. I tried things like the keto diet where I couldn't eat anything other than meat and certain fatty foods, and this was absolutely horrible for me considering the fact that I was only 15 at the time. I did notice a subtle difference when trying these diets, but there was no substantial changes until something interesting happened. The top of my abs started to pop out just a little bit. That subtle change was enough to give me a burning passion to get into aesthetics, which is basically working out to look as good as possible. I ended up watching people like David Lade and other really popular gym influencers, and there was nothing like it. I had the mythical thing that every teenage guy wants: abs. Now the issue that I didn't realize is that I was getting these abs by losing fat and also losing muscle because I wasn't working out. And this is what led me down the dark path of being skinny fat. Yes, I had abs, but they were barely visible, and wow, I did not realize how much of a problem this would be. So that is going to lead me to the phases that you need to choose from. There's a bulk, cut, and recomposition phase. The issue is that I cut before I ever had any muscle. Now for bulking, you eat more calories than you burn. For recomposition, you're just maintaining that level of calories that you consume every day. And for cutting, you consume fewer calories than you burn. Choosing the right option is absolutely essential for most people. The reason being that if you make the wrong choice, it'll hurt you much more than it helps. To choose what phase you need, I recommend watching some other fitness influencers because that could deserve an entire video in itself. But to make it as simple for you as possible, I would look at it like this. If you consider yourself fat, I would cut. If you like the level of muscle and fat that you have, I would recomp. If you're a skinny guy, I recommend bulking. Now with all this being said, going on a cut is what's going to make the biggest difference in the way that you look, including your face and the mythical six-pack. Losing fat is one of the hardest things for most people, which is why getting abs is going to be the focal point of this video. Starting out with the most important thing, nutrition. As someone who used to watch MasterChef and Chopped and all of these cooking shows, you could assume pretty well that I loved food. I loved eating, but more specifically, I had a sweet tooth. Having this relationship with food requires me to focus on my fitness as well, so that way I can stay in shape. Now the issue that I had, along with many other people, is ruining your relationship with food. Trying to get on these bodybuilder type diets where all you can eat is chicken and broccoli, or trying one of those fad diets like the keto diet I mentioned previously. For the majority of people, these don't work. And what most people don't know is every diet works in the same way. And all you need to do to get a perfect diet for getting lean is follow these 3 steps. Number 1, being in a calorie deficit. Number 2, making sure you get sufficient protein. And number 3, making sure you get sufficient fats. To ensure that this is as calculated as possible, use a calorie calculator to determine your maintenance calories. Take that maintenance and subtract 200 to 500 calories. This is what you have to work with, and as long as you stay below that maintenance level of calories, you're going to lose fat. In order to burn a pound of fat, you need to burn 3,500 calories. Now to get ensured results, you need to be tracking your calories. You can use something like MyFitnessPal or some other calorie tracker. This will ensure that you're eating the right macros like protein and fat, as well as ensuring you're below that calorie deficit, getting you closer to your goal of that dream body. Tracking everything can get really annoying at times, so to make it easier on yourself, you could easily use these calorie calculators for about a month's time. And if you were to stop, you kind of have an idea of where to go. You know what foods have certain amounts of fat, protein, and all of that. As for choosing foods, the answer is very simple. Just ask yourself this question: what's going to fill you up more, 3 candy bars or 4 pounds of strawberries? Unless you're crazy, the latter option is better. Now the biggest issue that people are unaware of is that the system is against you. Most foods are very low volume with very high calories, but if you make sure foods that have high fiber, high protein, and they're unprocessed, usually that means that they're going to be much lower calories, which also means that you can eat a lot more of that while still consuming very few calories. A good example of this is that you could eat around 3 pounds of broccoli, or you could eat 2 Hershey's chocolate bars, and that's going to equate to around the same same number of calories. The difference is one of these foods is nutrient dense, and you're going to be so full that you can't even walk after eating it. A lot of you aren't going to have time to prepare your own food, which is why it's important to make sure that the food that you do eat is very easy to prepare and doesn't take too much time. A good example is fruit. Fruit takes no time to prepare. Buy it, wash it off, eat it. As for things like meat, you can actually get a canned version of it, which takes no time to prepare other than just opening a can. Or if you want it to actually taste good, I recommend cooking it up. Specifically, ground meat takes like less than 10 minutes to cook, so it's not bad in my opinion. Now, this is where supplements come into play. There's not many things easier than just drinking a protein shake. My 3 favorite supplements are protein, caffeine, and creatine. For protein, I like prepackaged drinks just because of how easy they are to consume. Protein powder is going to be a little cheaper for you, and it's something that can be very personalized if you want. Something that I haven't tried that I want to get around to is fruit flavored protein powder, and it's basically like juice, so I might actually try that in a different video. Although nutrition is the most important thing, you aren't going to look much different without training. Whether you want to do bodybuilding, powerlifting, or calisthenics, training is the best way to improve your proportions, moving you closer to the goal of your dream body. Without training, in a calorie deficit, you're very likely to lose a lot of muscle, which could lead you to that skinny fat gray zone that you don't want to be in. So you do need to train, but the question is, what kind of training should you do? Although calisthenics are very fun and a good starting place, along with powerlifting, I wouldn't consider these the most beneficial for building an aesthetic body. If you really care about building muscle, I recommend training like a bodybuilder. And for this, you need to make sure you're achieving progressive overload, maintain good form, and make sure you train hard. A saying that I like to stick by, especially as of recently, is you can train for a long time or you can train hard. You can't do both at the same time. And this is true, and in my opinion, the best thing to do is train hard. This will lead to very quick workouts with very high efficiency. One-off workouts that you find on TikTok or YouTube Shorts are never going to beat consistency in an actual workout program. An at-home workout program I'll throw on the screen right now, but if you have access to a gym, I'll throw a different one on the screen. I never followed a plan, but if you're a very scheduled person, this is what I recommend. And if you want, there are actual apps you can use to track your sessions. Now for the killer of all motivation and what takes most people out. Cardio. This is one of the most overhyped things and actually isn't the best tool for losing fat. That's what your nutrition's for. Although this can be a catalyst and also improve your heart health, I don't recommend trying to be like David Goggins. If you like running, jump roping, or treadmilling, that's totally fine. But always remember this saying, it's calories in and calories out. And do keep in mind, certain styles of cardio can actually hurt your training in the gym because it can exhaust you. Although it may seem like I'm very against this, I'm not at all. Cardio is a good thing, just not the best way to lose fat. So do it, but be wary of the results. Sleep. There's nothing more important, especially if you're a young teenager or someone getting just into fitness. Improving your mental control, your discipline, decision making, and overall health, sleep is one of the most overlooked things. It's absolutely essential for recovery, and if you're training in the gym a lot, your body needs a lot of that. So don't underestimate the power of sleep. Aside from these well-known benefits, you also release HGH when you're sleeping, which is your growth hormone, meaning that better sleep is not only going to help you build muscle, but also make you a little taller if you're still growing. For good sleep, it's important to turn your phone off a good amount of time before you go to sleep, and try to avoid as much light and noise as possible. This is what your body wants. With all of this being said, most people fail. Most people will watch this video and then continue their regular lives without making any changes. If you want to be different, this is what I recommend. Do not try to do everything at once. Moving in extremes does work for some people, but I wouldn't say that for the majority. For someone who's very on and off about things, that is usually a failure mindset. It's way better to try to just go to the gym as frequent as possible, maintain that consistency. I'm looking at someone who goes very hard for a short period of time versus someone who works on something every day. The latter usually takes the cake because consistency wins and thrives in all scenarios, whether it's the gym or your regular life endeavors. You need consistency to maintain growth. The best way to do this is by killing your bad habits and improving your good habits. Instead of fighting the urge to go to the cookie jar, just throw the cookies away beforehand so there's no option. Although this is just an example, it can be applied to many different things. If you don't have the option to fail, you're not going to. Try to get rid of the junk food in your house. To improve some good habits, try to go to a gym that's very close to you. As humans, the easier something is to do, the more likely we are to do it. Don't make things unnecessarily hard. But to avoid failure, it's really about your mindset. If you see a jacked guy that goes to the gym eating a cookie, then you make a joke about how he's breaking his diet, you might actually see yourself the same way. Rather than making fun of people who take this fitness seriously, become the person who takes it seriously yourself. Avoid looking at positive things in a negative light. Don't make fun of people for trying, because in the back of your head, you're actually doing the same thing. We're all trying to improve, and the chances are if you're negative towards someone who's also trying to improve, it can be reflected onto yourself. Probably here because you're one of these people. Enjoy the fact that you're one of these people who want to improve because you're in a mindset that most people can't achieve. I remember seeing gym goers as these people that were just cocky and very full of themselves. When I changed this mindset, everything else changed alongside it. Now it's time to internalize this info. It's more important now than it ever has been before. Follow the rules of this video for the next 3 months and you will see substantial differences in your body. I don't care if you're a bodybuilder or if you're someone who's never touched a weight, you will see a difference when implementing these things. Keep in mind that this is a lifestyle change. This isn't something that happens overnight. You're not going to see results in the beginning. That's why I have the 3-month rule. Stick to this for 3 months or 90 days. It'll be a night and day difference. With all this being said, I want people like you who watch to the end on my team. I recommend joining my free Discord where you you can talk to me whenever you feel. I'm in there at least every day. I'm also in the process of making a paid community where I'm going to talk about all ways of improving your life. But if you don't have the money, that's totally fine. Watching these videos supports me more than you know, and it's a really good sign that you're in the mindset of wanting to improve. With all this being said, improving doesn't only happen from the neck down. There's ways to improve your face, mind, mental health, your financial life, aka money, and so much more. Your life has a lot of different aspects. Although health and fitness is one of the most important ones, there's so many more ways to improve. Don't only seek differences in your body, but every aspect of your life. That being said, if you're actually adamant about improving your face specifically, watch this video right here.